pulmonary hypertension is a very dynamic process, like Satyan mentioned, and I've been at the center point of this disease for last almost 30 years. So it is a passion to discuss this thing. And can I have the first slide? First slide. First slide. This has been discussed. Am I clear to everybody?
Yes, indeed you are. Yes. Please go ahead.
So, as Satyan and my predecessors discussed, I'll be focusing my talk on 3 areas, even though my primary talk is on sildenafil. Just to recap everything what Satyan said, we have the endothelin pathway, the nitric oxide pathway, and the prostacyclin pathway. So bosentan and products are available in this limb of the activity, whereas my area of research, sildenafil, is a phosphorase 5 enzyme, will be in this area, and complementing me in the same pathway will be milrinone, which is phosphodiesterase E3 pathway. So this is going to be the area for sildenafil and milrinone. Endothelin takes another pathway, which Satyan already discussed. Bosentan comes here. And in the actinic prostacyclin pathway, you have eprostinone and iloprost, all which has been discussed by Satyan. Next slide. Next slide. Now, just to have a timetable of events into this pulmonary hypertension pharmacotherapy, probably the earliest drug which came in was the prostanoids, epoprostenol in 1990s, followed by treprostinil, iloprost, and treprostinil. Next, somewhere here, no. Next, please go back 1 minute. In 2002, which is almost 20 years back, it was my invention and research with sildenafil, after which a lot of other pulmonary vasculators came in, which were analogs of bosentan, and lately the IP receptor organisms like selexipag. So my topic will be basically on sildenafil and how I came across all those impressions which are translated into research. Next slide. Before 2000, the most important study which I fall back upon is by Baccaro and group in the South America, and Steenhorn, who did the IV sildenafil thing in the 2009. The others are all above 2000. Many of them are from Middle East and Turkey and Africa, which showed various combinations: sildenafil versus magnesium sulfate, oral sildenafil plus INO, sildenafil plus bosentan, Codinos trial of nitric oxide in CHX, IV sildenafil and nitric oxide, sildenafil versus nebulized magnesium ongoing. And of course, all these studies, the sample size was small, but some of them had 80% power. And milrinone study with 2018, Gandor and from our Middle East group, 2020, and Sildenafil's safe study in preterms. Next slide. So this was way back in 2002. This was the first time in the world that we used sildenafil in newborn baby. This was a very unique situation. It is a diaphragmatic hernia baby, and our unit has nitric oxide and high frequency, which I tried, optimized the inotropes, and the baby was just saturating 55 pre-ductal for almost 6 hours. So I went back to review of literature, and I didn't have any guideline because there was no guideline. So I indirectly used 1 milligram per kilo but I became the constant that whenever sildenafil is used, I used to sleep in the hospital and make sure that that error of judgment of hemodynamics or ventilation, naming myself as the most expert man at any point in time during this process. Next slide. Next slide. So I was asked by the government of India not to, please go back a bit. I was asked by the government of India not to publish this study because at that point in time I was known to be experimental, and I might have landed up with some governmental litigation. But my research work was honored by being invited to the Hot Topics on Neonatology in Washington, DC. And also in the BMJ, it was mentioned Indian doctor does this and so and so. So this was the starting of my passionate involvement with sildenafil. Next slide. Next slide. So when I come down to from 2002 to 2011, a lot of research has gone on and many considerations came in. And this was a publication in the Nursing Journal, which I like that caption, is sildenafil the new nitric? This is somewhere in the early 2011. So the bottom line was approximately 30 to 40% of neonates with PPHN fail to respond to INO. Secondly, as we all know, in the last 2 decades, the availability of nitric oxide in various centers and the meticulous precision in which you should conduct a baby on life support with nitric is meticulous. So the toxicity, if you exceed methemoglobin levels, and the long-term effects are still not known. So it prompted me that I should be more passionately involved with sildenafil. Next slide. Next slide. Next. Secondly, which is more important and I want to highlight, just go back 1 second. Medical grade nitric oxide may not be available in various parts of the world. And wherever we transport a sick baby on nitric, it's extremely dangerous. All of us know air transport and ambulance transport on a baby on nitric is a very dangerous thing when a child has labile pulmonary hypertension. Next slide. So after a review of literature, I used 1 milligram per kilo per dose, but in that era of almost 20 years back, I had prepared the baby with 10 ml per kilo of saline, anticipating a slight fall in the blood pressure as per the adult studies. And I optimized the intravascular volume and blood pressure so I could feel the posterior tibial pulsation very well. So this assessment of posterior tibial pulsation in all babies with pulmonary hypertension should be an elementary test at the bedside to tell you that you're hemodynamically well balanced. Are you doing too much with end expiratory pressure, or your mean airway pressure, or your inotropic support is perfect? So once you get the habit of feeling the posterior tibial pulsation in every baby, even though you have advanced hemodynamic assessment, this baseline should be implemented in all units, that whenever you change any ventilator setting or anything to do with a critical baby, please feel the posterior tibial pulsation very well. So as the studies went by, this is from Steenhorn, who published the IV sildenafil protocol. We tried this 5 years before him, but we were not successful because Steenhorn was clear that you had to give the maintenance dose over 3 hours, followed by loading over 3 hours, followed by maintenance of 0.0. So this was after Steenhorn. We came to the conclusion that in 2009 that we can give IV sildenafil to the babies with good results. Now preterm references are coming, 0.1 milligram per kilo per hour loading, and administered over 45 minutes because of pharmacokinetics, and maintenance of almost 1/3 of the term baby per milligram per kilo per hour. So this is the latest what we have regarding the sildenafil. Next one. Next. So this is what Satyan has cautioned, there are so many caveats in the treatment of sildenafil as we evolve in our lecture, but we have to be very cautious when we use it in the setting of sepsis, because you already have a vasodilatation going on, and on top of that you add sildenafil, which again works through the cyclic GMP mechanism. So we be cautious, but I strongly feel from my, if you boost the intravascular volume by 10 ml per kilo, optimize inotropes in such a way that you get your mean arterial blood pressure in the median of the centile or above 40 millimeter mercury, you can still do well with this type of candidate of patients. Next slide. Next. 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 This is my study in 2002, which prompted me to be invited to the hot topics. You can see that many of them, the oxygenation index has crossed almost to 35 when we started this. So the moment I gave oral sildenafil, because 1 milligram per kilo, after optimizing the lung volume and optimizing the hemodynamics of the baby, so I can feel the posterior tibial pulsation well, this was the way in which the oxygenation index behaved over the maybe the next 12 to 24 hours. And this was oral sildenafil, 1 milligram per kilo, and given through a Wright's tube. Next one. This is the first study, randomized study done by my colleague Baccaro and Augusto Sola, on which I fall back upon to say that this may be the future nitric. He did a good control study of almost 25 patients in each limb. But because deaths occurred due to some other reason, this study had to be halted. But you can see very obviously that the oxygenation index was very close to ECMO zone. It was above 40s and 6. I mean, the child was pretty sick with a FiO2 of 1 and oxygenation index of 40. But over a period of time with oral sildenafil, it came down to an oxygenation index nearing 20, and once you're crossing near 10, we plan to wean down. But what has to be remembered is the effects of the sildenafil continued for 72 hours, and after 72 hours, the kid was quite steady, because I'll tell you what happened to the cases later. Next one. Next. So this was another study by Steenhorn. Go back one bit. 2009. He did the first pioneering study on IV sildenafil. He was the first to show to the world that you can give IV sildenafil without hypotension, provided you gave the loading dose over 3 hours. And you can see the sharp fall in the oxygenation index from 27.3 to 11 in that period of time. So it is very impressive. And I have to only add one thing here, that he has not mentioned about the priming the kid with some volume and inotropic support and this thing, but the study was extremely well done. Next one. This is the big study which I fall back upon. It has to be considered as one of the biggest, largest studies by Augusto Sola and Baccaro. This is a big sample size of 3,500 babies. And you can see on these two sides, whatever may be the statistical significance, you have seen that in INO, the survival was almost 62.3%. And with sildenafil alone, 60%. So it's very impressive. We cannot say head-on comparison but the numbers were pretty significant that we have to take note of this pioneering study. Next one. So this is by Prakesh Shah and Olsen, 2017 sildenafil. Next one. This is go back once. The PaO2 improved by 15.31 millimeter in 24 hours, and the oxygenation index decreased by almost 40% by 24 hours. So this was quite clear from that thing that it has a tremendous impact on pulmonary hypertension in newborn. Next slide. This is a latest study, a systematic review, 8 studies with 216 term and premature babies. The results were quite obvious of 24 hours of treatment. And the P effect, considering what I also told earlier, was after 72 hours of treatment. So this is important because in the original study which I did of diaphragmatic hernia, who was on nitric of 20 parts per million and high frequency, I almost thought I lost the kid when that nitric oxide got over. So I was really worried that the child will have a rebound, but it never happened. So in 2002, I have to congratulate Sildenafil that there was no rebound after the nitric oxide got discontinued by accident. So this is my historical comments on the studies which followed after me. And I'm just reinforcing the fact that it has performed very well with time. Next one. So these are the new studies which came in 2000. Sildenafil versus IV managed sulfate, sildenafil versus iloprost. All sample sizes are around 25 to 50. But some of them are statistically powered. Fatima are all from our region. Sildenafil versus sildenafil bosentan. Bosentan seemed to have produced a slightly better combination of sildenafil. And sildenafil with milrinone was impressive. Even though it's a small study, it showed some direction towards the synergistic combination. Next one. Next one. So this is Satyan's figure. I'm not going to talk too much. He has already talked about it. So we must understand that this category is a dangerous thing which can be diagnosed only by echo, and we should not either play with sildenafil or nitric oxide in this category. Next one. So milrinone already explained 2 or 3 times. In this is our Patrick study, which I quote in most of my CMEs. So when milrinone was added to the right selected candidate, the oxygenation index fell very well. So this was a case suboptimal response to nitric oxide, and milrinone was used. So it was impressive what Patrick did almost 10 years back. So milrinone can be used in that selected population with very good results. Next one. So the ETA receptors, which I had some faith, Kiran Moore presented this in the 2016 articles. He has come to conclusion that bosentan and group were not good enough to create the vasodilatation required, but it did not improve oxygenation. This was Trinon Future 4 study, 2016. But I still think the bottom line is not out for bosentan. It can be as add-on to various things which I'm coming to shortly. Next one. This is again the CDH1 in which Satyan seems to have done a great amount of work. We have to study the ventricular physiology and then add on the required things based on the echocardiographic findings, which Philip gave a brilliant review. So based on the echocardiographic parameters only, we can get the baby out, because it needs a multi-pronged attack. You need to first give gentle ventilation, and vasodilators to be used cautiously because you can flood the lung. Milrinone, good if there's LV dysfunction, and PGE1 depending on, again, the echocardiographic findings. But even though this trial was good, in CDH, IV sildenafil has worked extremely well in 40% of cases, and it has done well in the first few hours to days of the management of IV sildenafil in this category. Next one. So again in BPD, this is the one they said that there is significant improvement in pulmonary artery pressure and respiratory score with inconsistent effect on mortality. Now, Philip has mentioned about the adult prototypes of childhood disease, I mean the phenotypes. Now, from this thing, the START1 and START2 trial, recommendations have come that it is reasonably safe, both for the age group 1 to 17 years, provided you use a low dose of sildenafil. So I feel that in time to come, all these things will change depending on protocols and so many things. But as of now, this category of children with sildenafil use of BPD, the severe BPD, they all have a very stormy clinical course and the mortality is high anyway. So we don't know whether new studies will come in which we have quantified the pulmonary artery pressure and all the new developments which Philippe Villevi has told to give us a better predictors of the sildenafil and mortality inconsistency. Next slide.
We have 2 more minutes, doctor.
Next one. Next one. Please move fast. I can finish in 1 minute. Next one. This I think Satyan has covered very well. It's all from Satyan's diagram. So whenever we see PPHN, you must know in which ventricle physiology it comes. And Satyan has rightly told, ductal dependent pulmonary circulation, PGE1. If you need lung recruitment, do it early, nitric oxide or sildenafil. Normal parenchymal disease, lung recruitment, surfactant and PEEP, no vasodilator, no nitric. Whereas when you have ventricular dysfunction, that means echo is a primary starting point, milrinone PGE1 should be used depending on what type of physiology you see. Next one. So this is my take-home message and a protocol. I'm going to sit with Patrick and work out and fine-tune this so that all developing countries can use it. And after 2 years, we'll have a head-on comparison with nitric oxide. So the first step in the management of PPHN will always be to optimize lung volume. So you must fall back upon the ultrasound guided scoring systems coming now, and the youngsters should learn to know lung ultrasound optimization by ultrasound. The second one is to be clear that are you dealing with the intravascular volume is right. It's not the blood pressure. So going back to basics, bedside, feel the posterior pulsation, see if your mean arterial blood pressure is around 40 or 50th centile. So once these two are optimized, then only the other things will fall into place, like your vasodilator or nitric oxide. Unless you do these primary steps, and I have found in my 30 years with this, once you have said these two things right, generally they do well. And the requirement of nitric or sildenafil all is minimal once you optimize those two steps and be clear. Now, coming to sildenafil, my baby, you can go by 1 milligram per kilo, depending on the response, and after 24 hours, you can go up 2 milligram per kilo. Similarly, I'm sure IV sildenafil cannot be used by what Steenhorn said, 0.14 milligram per kilo loading, and then you can go to the maintenance. But the $1 million question will be, what is the serum sildenafil level in which you can say, okay, if we have done the right thing, the metabolism is going to be okay. I've taken an arbitrary value from Steenhorn. Anything above 40 milligram per thing should be fine. And once you have done that, the question will be, what has Patrick and Levy echocardiographic criteria to define the density of the dysfunction? Then we start with milrinone, 0.5 microgram per kilo per minute. Or there's no LV dysfunction, I still feel certain small studies are pointing on using bosentan. And the rule of 10. So if you increased improvement, oxygen index fallen by 10%, pulmonary artery pressure fall by 10%, PF ratio, we are winning slowly. And once you come down to 0.6, you're already winning. And now the new thing we can use, what Dr. Ram and group of thing is to use an oxygen saturation index. And by both this, we start winning. Now, after 2 years, we'll go into the developing countries who will take over once the OI crosses 25. And once your OI is near 40, go for ECMO. But I have a distinct feeling with this amount of review of literature and the results of IV sildenafil and oral sildenafil and optimizing the primary steps, we will achieve, if not similar results with sildenafil and the other vasodilators like nitric oxide. Next slide. The last part of my study, 1 minute, is what I've been talking for last 10 years. I had asked Satyan, I think a few years back, that does sildenafil protect the brain? But now in the last 4 years, evidence has, okay, next slide. Next slide. This is a study which came in March 2014 on the neuroprotection of sildenafil. On the brain, various parameters were taken, and they have shown, next slide, that there is a tremendous neuroprotective action of sildenafil in reduction of cerebral infarct volume, support of synaptic function, decrease in neural loss. Next slide. So this is my study which I finished in 2007, 5-year follow-up of those 11 babies I treated. And what made me think of neuroprotection was, I was a common denominator in all those 11 babies surviving and going home, and I followed all those babies personally up to 5 years. So what was amazing was, I have seen these children all having saturations of 55 pre-ductal for at least 12 hours or so, and I was sure they will be crippled, or at least they'll have a learning disability. Next slide. But next slide. Next one, the last slide. Next, yeah. This is what I published and spoke in the Arab Health in 2012. These babies who had very bad SNAP scores to begin with, and I was expecting neurological damage, the way the saturations were for at least 10 to 12 hours, around 55, 56. These babies given sildenafil alone, at 5-year follow-up, they're almost close to the controls. So I am very sure with the new studies coming in that sildenafil will be somewhere in the neuroprotective agent area, which already Satyan has mentioned that we should look at the brain when we look at the PPHN. Last slide. So this is, I'm concluding my talk, my friends. And I think today, with all the greatest people in the world on PPHN, I'll be able to evolve a protocol for developing countries, and we'll safely ventilate and have the data. So that over the next 2 years, we will be having a head-on comparison with nitric oxide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv, for your excellent presentation and the concluding remarks as well. In fact, the whole conference and the whole afternoon was so useful, and such a lot of learning material from experts around the world, and you brought them all together. So all the congratulations go to you and your team for the hard work you put in. Now there is one question by Dr. Pradeep, and he's asking that can we give oral sildenafil when the baby is hypotensive and on inotropes?
That's actually a very good question. So I don't see why not, because if you can use nitric oxide on a child on CPAP with nasal prongs, but the primary step always remains. You have to optimize his lung volume and the intravascular volume, feel the posterior tibial pulsation, check on him or hemodynamics first. First check his mean arterial blood pressure, which can be done at the bedside. And if his posterior tibial pulsation is good and you have no other way to proceed, if his blood gas is all right, I think we can give, because so far in this 10, 20 years with this, I have found that it doesn't decrease the blood pressure much to compromise the baby. It doesn't. So if the baby's hemodynamic is stable, I think we should give it and watch for it. If it's pure pulmonary hypertension due to pulmonary vascular constricting like in PPHN. So the physiology has to be clear by echo. So before we do that, a good echo to quantify which type of PPHN physiology we are dealing with, then only we should proceed to give sildenafil.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think this issue of sildenafil for the low and middle income countries is a very important question, and you have addressed it very nicely. There is a question by Dr. Ahmed NN. Do you have dose response curve of sildenafil?
That is a sad part, because so far, I mean, review of literature, even drug levels which can hit the target. Only Steenhoorn gave some reference of 40 to 350 nanogram per ml. So we really don't know. But by and large, all studies, including mine, which I've been dealing for last almost 20 years, with the third dose of sildenafil given 6 hourly, you will achieve a certain serum level in which everything starts opening up slowly. But IV sildenafil, the story may be different. It may be in the next, probably in for half to 4 hours, the peak effects you can see on the PaO2 levels. But oral sildenafil, by and large, is safe, and we can use it even with CPAP, etc., provided all the basic parameters I've already told you.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Pooja
I
is
think